It really is hard to describe the feeling or the sensation or the experience that you're going to have when you actually tap in and connect with the elements and in the moon cycle. So with grandmother moon, I always say it's magical.
When we think about anxiety as being all over the place, right, we get very chaotic. When we actually tune into it and using that moon energy to be able to settle in and really allow ourselves to ground into the earth with the energy of the moon, it really is transformational.
And so people with anxiety feel safer with that predictability and a little bit of structure in there. Grounding the energies in and using that earth energy, we can use the Virgo moon to help find the balance. It doesn't just analyze, it helps to organize the chaos.
So there's no need to be anxious when we do have grandmother moon on our side and we ground into the right energies at the right time. The moon calms me. It doesn't matter what sign it's in. If I can see the moon, I can immediately breathe.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's discussion. You may have been watching our videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have gained value from our conversations, from our channel, it would be so appreciated for us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now and even give us a like. What that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it also allows us to bring in even more guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's wonderful panel discussion.
Welcome, everyone. So we are here with Sacred You community. I am super excited that you guys are here. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to share a little bit about what it is that we're doing, and then we'll go around and introduce all of our panelists. And so today we're going to be talking about harvesting the inner strength. So August moon wisdom for anxiety relief. So we're going to be talking a lot about anxiety and how the moon actually works to be able to help support us with anxiety. And so as we're doing this recording, we are going to be talking about the new moon in Virgo. Today is not the new moon in Virgo, but we will be, when the replay happens, you guys will have access to it at around that time. But we're going to be focusing on that new moon in Virgo. So if anybody is catching this live, because I know that sometimes happens in the back end world, and so if you're catching this live while we are doing the recording, then just know that we are going to be focusing and drawing in that new moon energy that's going to be coming up. So I am Gigido Migwinkwe, which means talking feather woman. That is my spirit name. I'm also known as Rollie ALLAIRE. I am from Northeastern Ontario, Canada. You can see I am outdoors. I am on my hammock, just enjoying the little bit of beautiful weather that we're going to have for a short period of time, because we are going to shift soon and we get very cold weather up here. So I am enjoying every moment that I can outside and being able to have connection to being grounded. Today we are in Taurus energy. We're in the last quarter energy in Taurus. And so this is where we're connecting with, so just being able to be in this earth energy. And my grandson is outside, so hopefully my husband's going to be able to keep him from coming over and hanging out, but he keeps coming back over and yelling hi. So we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. So Larissa, you are at the top of my screen. So how about we start with you? So who are you? Where are you? Just share a little bit about who you are, and we'll go.
Larissa Russell. I'm back again.
Okay. Yeah.
I apologize. We've been having issues today. So yes, I am in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I work with women using feminine energy and the energy of the seasons, the moon, to bring their business to life, to work in different ways that actually work with them, as opposed to the typical masculine energy ways that we've been taught. And so that we can really thrive in our businesses, opposed to burnout and all of those other fun things that we do because we try so hard to be something we're not. Yeah, I'm Larissa Russell. Thank you.
And welcome. So Priestess Alissandra.
So I'm Priestess Alissandra Moon, founder of Raven Moon Academy, which is actually the first fully internationally accredited witchcraft and spiritual development academy in the world. But we do so much more than just teach magic and spiritual and psychic development. We actually help our students to become the most empowered future version of themselves in the present. So we really combine the science with the woo-woo, if you will. So yeah, I have a wonderful team of priestesses working with me to help you to really step into your power.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And Tywanah?
Hello, everyone. I am Tywanah Yvette, also known as Thunderbird Rising. I have accepted my spiritual upgrade and I am integrating right now. I am a high priestess, a shaman. I help women find their power center using the chakra system. So I, like you, Alissandra, help people to balance that spirituality aspect with the practical aspect and really find their power center. And I have just recently realized how connected I am to the moon, even though I sat under it for 3 years scrying and scripting. It didn't catch on then, but that was spiritual awakening. That's another story. So thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm so glad to have this discussion with you, especially heading it up, Rollie, and let's do this, ladies.
Beautiful. I think that this is amazing. I am all about the moon. I love the moon. Having everything that I do is to do with the moon. And so I love being able to have like-minded women that I can actually connect with, that we can just moon talk. And this is amazing. And so I want to say that I am honored and blessed that Tywanah had actually shared about her spiritual awakening at the last panel discussion that I hosted. And now she's out. So woohoo, I'm super excited. And Priestess Alissandra was actually there with us as well. So we got to witness that with Tywanah, and we get to be with her as she moves through this integration. So I just want to hold space for you and honor you. And so we're going to dive into the questions. Because our panel is a little smaller today, we may have time to be able to have a little bit more of a conversation and more of a discussion, but we'll see how things go, because I want to make sure that we still tap into the conversation or the questions that we have. And so Larissa, we're going to start with you. And if you are choppy, then we'll just move on to someone else and then come back to you. So the first question is, we're meeting on a powerful new moon in Virgo, which is on August 22nd, 23rd, depending on where you are in the world. So how does this specific lunar energy create opportunities for anxiety healing that might not be available at other times?
Oh, my mind just went completely blank as I was thinking. I apologize for that. I was listening so intently that it was like just flowed right out of me. The new moon in Virgo, the energy of settling in is what it is. And so that settling in, and when we think about anxiety as being all over the place, right? We get very chaotic with anxiety. We often don't even recognize it because we live in such a chaotic world, and it's bubbling for such a long time. And then when we actually tune into it and using that moon energy to be able to settle in and really allow ourselves to ground into the earth with the energy of the moon, it really is transformational and allows us to breathe in a different way. I don't know how to explain it exactly until you do it. It's a settling, and you can do it at any time, but there is something about the Virgo energy tapped in with the moon. All of that just centers you so much. And I hope I was clear with that, because my brain just rattled off somewhere.
Absolutely. Actually, no, that was really good, Larissa, because it really is about, and it really is hard to describe the feeling or the sensation or the experience that you're going to have when you actually tap in and connect with the elements and the in the moon cycle. So with grandmother moon and the specific elements that are actually going on, it's I always say it's magical because it really is. It's just this whole magic thing that happens that you don't even realize that you're missing it until you don't have it. And yeah, so no, that was a perfect explanation. Thank you. So
Thank you.
Priestess Alissandra.
So I would just like to preface this by saying I'm not an astrology expert. I have other people who take care of that side. However, when it comes to the moon, we do a lot of work with the moon. And I think the moon in Virgo's connected to the safety and the structure and the security. And so people with anxiety feel safer with that predictability and a little bit of structure in there. And so I think, as Larissa was saying about grounding the energies in and using that earth energy, we can use the Virgo moon to help find the balance. And with Virgo being ruled by Mercury, I believe, it doesn't just analyze, it helps to organize the chaos. And so we can, excuse me, look at how we can find the wisdom and the lessons from the anxiety. We can ritualize things like grounding and like just breaking tasks up into smaller tasks. As Carney likes to say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So yeah, I think ritualizing and creating structures and routines with the balance of the flow and the healing and the release and looking to your future self, what you want to be calling in, what you want to be stepping into. But yeah.
Beautiful. And so yes, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and we have just come out of the Mercury retrograde and we're in the Mercury shadow. So it's even that much more powerful at this time, during this time. So that's great. Tywanah, what about you?
I have a daughter who's a Virgo, so it always reminds me of, like you said, Priestess, that grounding, that safety, because that's always her focus, right? That grounding, that safety. And for me, it's creating that balance of what Larissa touched on, which is do versus be, flow, ground, be safe. It's all going to work out because as women, we naturally are receivers. So if we are in the right flow and we remain grounded, then those things, there are no blockages blocking the seeds that we are planting, especially with Virgo being at the beginning of the fall for us here in the Northern Hemisphere. There's nothing blocking those seeds from coming into our lives. So there's no need to be anxious when we do have grandmother moon on our side and we ground into the right energies at the right times. Because as long as you remain in flow, in that divine feminine flow, and I've been stressing that so much with my clients about we have to hop back over to the divine feminine side. And even if it means you start by putting eyeshadow on every day. And I know that's an external practice, right? But it starts to make you feel a little more feminine. And then you want to do those other things. So as someone who sat under the moon every night, and I swear it followed me. It didn't matter where I went, it followed me. I've got so much love and so much homage for the moon and for these different seasons of flow, for us to call those things into our lives. The moon calms me. It doesn't matter what sign it's in. If I can see the moon, I can immediately breathe. And I think that happens once we step back into that divine feminine flow. So I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
Absolutely not. That was great. And it really does tie in. And so one of the things that I wanted to add to what Tywanah was saying is, so those of us who are in the Northern Hemisphere, so those of us who are on the panel, there's 3 of us. And so Alissandra is down under. And so you guys are moving into spring. And so like she was talking about planting the seeds and being in there as we're moving into the fall, we do want to be able to plant those seeds and have that happen. But at the same time, it's happening as spring's arriving, right? So as spring's coming in, things are opening up and new seeds are being planted, or the seeds that were planted earlier on into the fall and into the winter are now coming forward and coming up for those who are actually moving into that spring. And so and just to add more to around that grounding energy is Virgo is that earth sign, and Virgo is that very meticulous and very planning and very, but it's not a race, right? So like Virgo is not about racing to being able to get things done. When we pick up on that earth energy in Virgo and we're into that, I need to get all these things done and then you're not grounded, you're not connected. You need to take that step back, because everyone has actually shared about that whole being able to ground into that Virgo energy. And if you're type A, like I'm a recovered type A, or I'm recovering type A, is that I would be into that energy. And so then it would be like, no, I need to get things done, but I need to get things done meticulously, and I need to get things done in a calmer state so that I'm actually staying in that energy. And yeah, so that's just, it's great. And so I really love that, that everyone has that same connection and love for grandmother moon. So the second question is the August Sturgeon Moon. So the Sturgeon Moon was the full moon that is still, we're still in that full moon. Like, even though the full moon has already come and gone, it's the teachings that I've had is full moon to full moon is the energy of the Sturgeon Moon that you're actually carrying. And then as we're moving into that Virgo moon, the new moon, it's new moon to new moon. So you're always carrying forward that energy as you're going through. So like right now, as we're in the last quarter moon in Taurus, that last quarter moon to last quarter moon of release, we're still in that for an entire cycle. So when we're talking about the August Sturgeon Moon, traditionally represents abundance and harvest. How do you help clients who feel depleted by anxiety tap into this energy to reclaim their strength? Larissa?
Yes, the Sturgeon Moon, again, it's like grounding energy. And so when we are looking at anxiety and things that you can do to help bring you back, first of all, it's like stepping out of what's happening and sitting still. It's a funny I have a few somatic practices that I do for my own self and some of my clients as well. But the bigger thing is just sitting still, right? Those deep breaths, sitting still. We do a lot of creative practices, getting into, again, that feminine energy. And whether it's just moving a marker on paper or something deeper, just to release. Because when we can express what we're feeling in a different way, we can help remove it out of our body. And again, this time of year, when we are starting to settle down, or should be, our energy is starting to settle down. Our society is not, but our energy is starting to settle down, and we are, at least in this hemisphere, we are trying to level things out, start to bring in that pause when we can just take the time to sit, to breathe, meditate if you can do that. But a creative practice or journaling to just allow yourself that space, I think, is vitally important.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much. So Priestess Alissandra, I always say Allison and I apologize. So Alissandra.
That's okay. If it helps, you can call me Ali. That's okay. Yeah, I agree with what Larissa was saying. And so looking at the Sturgeon Moon, it reminds us that, I guess, abundance, it doesn't always have to be that loud, external, obvious abundance the things that we associate with abundance in society. Sometimes it's just that quiet, the resilience and how far we've come, and even wisdom that we've accumulated. And so I think clients or people who feel that depletion from the anxiety, they often need help shifting from the idea of fighting anxiety to harvesting the lessons and that it's sharpened, finding their empathy, their intuition, their own boundaries and gratitude practices, looking at how far they have come, where they can go. And one of my notes here was also, like Larissa was saying, returning to the breath, just breathing. Like, we forget to just breathe. Like, it feels so good to literally just sit and take one single deep breath. It just feels amazing because we forget how to breathe. So grounding practices again, breathing. But here in the Southern Hemisphere, or in Australia specifically, where I am, we refer to it as the kangaroo moon because it's when the kangaroos, or coming into spring, the babies are arriving. And so I guess that's another form of abundance, birthing things into the world. What have we birthed into the world? What can we birth into the world? I went on a little tangent there, but yeah, thank you.
No, that was perfect because like it really does have that connection. So thank you so much for that. Because I would have never known that it's a kangaroo moon because I've never checked to see what it would be in Australia. So for us, the sturgeon moon is like that's when that final push of the fish go through to try and get into where they need to be to go in for the winter. So you guys are birthing and we are expanding. So like they've already had all their babies and now they're all gathering together to try and swim through wherever it is that they need to go. And generally sturgeons are like they're in abundance. And so yeah, so that's definitely so that's really cool. I love that contrast. Thank you so much. Tywanah?
What's also funny about sturgeon is they're bottom feeders. And there's that being close to the ground again, that grounding energy. Some of the things that I have been reminding my clients of lately is I've been showing them videos of themselves from 3 months ago. Just little clips. Doesn't have to be very much. The first couple of minutes, the little clips. And I had a client today, before I even showed it, she goes, wow, I'm proud of myself. I've come so far. And it's, yes, girl, bravo. Yes, you have. If you could just see you through my eyes, you would understand. And I used to hate, before I went on my healing journey, I hated when people said that. If someone said that to me, it would be like, then why can't you just tell me? But we all have our healing journeys. But a lot of the things that I'm having my clients do, number one, grounding, journaling, meditating, those types of things. But we're also playing with herbs and candles and doing our little abundance, not little. We're doing our abundance spells. And abundance, like you said, does not have to come in a winning lottery ticket. While none of us here would complain about that at all, it comes in, I smiled when you said it. It comes in a spiritual upgrade and a new ancestor walking into your house and you just being blown away. That's who you're named after. It comes in getting a phone call from my granddaughter who her mother just found out she's a high priestess as well. So it comes in enjoying those little moments, and those little moments that we take for granted sometimes ground us. They ground us. They keep us grounded. Anytime my granddaughter shows up on the screen, I forget the world exists. Anytime my grandson, who's about my height, he's 11 years old, and hi, Nana, it immediately all the worries, the chaos, the stress goes away. So, as women, as a whole, we have to remember to pause for ourselves. I had to remind their mother the other day, who works for the airline, where's your oxygen mask? Who goes first? I'm like, you know the speech better than I do. So, what's going on here? But just taking those pauses, even if it's getting up away from your desk And like I'll run back. I have an electric ball that my dog loves. She thinks it's the greatest thing since food. It's her second favorite thing. And I'll kick it around the house while she does her zoomies just for a couple of minutes. It's not hurting me, but it grounds me. It gets me away from the to-dos. It gets me away from this client needs this and I'm building this program. So we really need to learn how to tap into this energy. And I love the way the question was posed, to reclaim our strength. We need to remember and reclaim our strength because it has been wiped from us. And those of us who are in this world are learning, unlearning everything we learned to relearn everything that's right.
And I love that. And I love exactly how that fits, because I've worked in mental health for forever. And so having that experience is that was one of the things that I've always worked with my clients on is, you know what it is that's best for you. I can give you all the tools in the world, but you know already what works for you, what doesn't work for you. How are you going to be able to tap into that? And so this Sturgeon Moon for me is really about being able to help them build their anxiety toolkit, right? So is it sitting under a tree? Is it walking in the forest? Is it just sitting and putting your feet on the floor? Is it going to have a bath? Is it just connecting with your breath? And so I always remind people that you take your breath everywhere you go. So it doesn't matter where it is that you go. So you might have forgotten your crystal that like helps to ground you, but you didn't forget your breath. Your breath is still there. And so all you have to do is be able to just tap back into that breath and bring yourself back into your body. And that is, for me, is that is where the Sturgeon Moon comes into play. Is it like we've got all these things that we have access to that we can bring into all the things that we need to do. So Larissa, I'm going to pick on you again first.
I'm onto it now.
So again, the sun is not square Uranus in this particular moment, but it will be when people are listening.
Mm-hmm.
So today's sun in a Uranus aspect often brings breakthrough energy. So can you share an unexpected insight or breakthrough that you've witnessed when working with lunar cycles for anxiety relief?
Yes. But before I do, I'm going to just jump backwards for a second, because there's two things that came up while you lovely ladies were speaking that I wanted to just speak to before we move on. One was the differences between the northern and southern hemisphere that we don't often think about when we're in our own space. And the moon itself isn't different, but things like the cycle, the seasons are vastly different. And so being in the kangaroo moon versus the sturgeon moon is a different energy. And so I just wanted to speak to that very quickly. And the other one that I didn't think to mention was how important water is at this time as well. And nature's always important, but water. And if you can put your feet in water, even more important. So just allowing yourself to settle in. I just wanted to revisit that, and apologies for moving backwards.
No
but moving
apologies necessary.
forwards, yes, moving forwards now, as far as breakthroughs and things that I've witnessed, working with the moon cycles and the seasonal changes and having women tap into that energy as opposed to the energy of our society. First of all, it's a very difficult shift to make because we are bombarded by the calendar that we use. And so to shift away from that is difficult. However, when we do and are able to recognize those full moon times when we tend to be more anxious, tend to be a little bit spinning out and things are happening, recognizing, oh, it's the moon, there's nothing wrong with me, right? And so when we can recognize the different phases of the moon and see where we're supposed to be, and it's not all aligned perfectly for every single person because we've become so disassociated with the energies of nature, we often have to settle back into those. And so as we do and we start to pay attention, we have our times that we are we just need to rest. And those times that we have high energy and times that we are a little more chaotic. And as we start, I get my ladies to track it for a while just so that they can see. And then, oh, where was the moon at this time? And oh, and those are those sort of eureka moments when, oh, it really is the moon energy, that I can see the differences now. I can see where I didn't have any energy those days. I thought I was just so tired. Yes, because that's your rest time. And so once they start to recognize that, then they can move forward and plan for it, right? They don't plan things on days when they don't have energy. They don't plan things on days when they know they're going to be more chaotic, or they plan things, fun games and things like that, as opposed to giving a presentation, those sort of things. And so those are the type of things that I've witnessed working with women with the moon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Priestess Allie. I'm going to say Allie.
Fine. I just want to acknowledge what Larissa was saying again about the cycles and tracking. That's a practice that I use with my girls, well, ladies and gentlemen, but mostly my women as well. And one particular client of mine or student of mine was doing that. And I think it's easy to think about it from afar. Oh yeah, there's cycles and the moon has a cycle and we as women match the moon, blah, blah, blah. But for her to actually step in and be living that, and she was experiencing a lot of anxiety herself. And by tracking that, she ended up stepping into and embodying the cyclic nature of the moon. And I believe it was on a full moon. It all just clicked together for her. And she spoke to her anxiety from that understanding and ended up learning that her anxiety was actually the voice of her inner child. And so she ended up being able to develop the relationship. And so now every full moon, she honors her inner child, she nurtures, she speaks, she does it at other times as well, but she really sets time aside to ritually connect. And since she's been doing that, her anxiety is minimal. She doesn't feel like she has to fight it or get rid of it anymore. It's not there's something that needed to change but not be eradicated. And yeah, so I think being able to really look at and feel and be with those cycles, it can be a complete game changer. I don't even know if I answered the question, but that just came through when Larissa was talking. I had to share that.
Yeah, that was actually perfect. That was like a prime example of how using the cycles allow you to be able to tap into that. So that was a beautiful example. Tywanah?
So I wrote down 3 things. Number 1, I actually bought, it's technically an oil drip bucket. However, a wide pan, because I don't have a place to ground near me. And I will sit at my desk with my feet in magnesium water or salt water so that I can ground that energy, especially on times where I know like I have to be at my desk for a very long time. You've got back-to-back clients, or when I'm doing mediumship readings. Very important to be grounded during those. But the other thing that I wrote down was something fun that I have done since our last Moon Wisdom Circle with my clients is we have pulled moon charts. And so now they know based on their birthdays and their astrology signs and things like that, when there should be rest, when there should be planting seeds, when there should be ideas, and when it's time to move forward boldly. And I even did it for myself and changed my calendar to accompany it, because I'm like, no, we're going to hone in on this skill, and we are going to honor my body, how it was created, and the cycles in which I am meant to rest, because I'm terrible when it comes to rest. Sophia chases me away all the time for it. But then the inner child. I teach inner child work like it is no one's business. If even Mercury retrograde, inner child likes to raise up, the full moon, inner child likes to raise up. There's other Saturn. Oh my God. When Saturn was retrograde last year, people were losing their minds. And that is the inner child screaming to be heard, to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be loved, to be understood. And so those are the days where there's no shame in my game. I've said it over 1,000 times on TikTok, and I'll say it here today. I go in there, I put on my Harry Potter onesie, I sit here, I do puzzles, I color, I do whatever little Tywanah needs in that time to feel okay and feel safe. And then we take off the Harry Potter onesie and we get back into the high priestess mode and do what we need to do. But those are just 3 things that stuck out from all of the wisdom that all of you beautiful women are sharing. Unexpected insight or breakthrough for me was I'm trying not to get emotional. I'm trying to be professional here.
No, being emotional, I'm gonna interject. There's no professionalism around our emotions. So you be you.
The native that I am proudly named after, like I shared, I'm a medium, so I can see, I have the gift of sight. Thought it was a curse when I was little. Walked into my living room, and I happened to find a photo of her on Facebook, so I knew who she was. And it happened around the time that I'm supposed to be integrating. So we have to, ladies, honor ourselves, honor our body's wisdom. Our bodies know when we're supposed to be resting. That's why when it's supposed to be in rest cycles, it seems like we're working 15 hours, but nothing got done. And it's because you're not supposed to be working 15 hours that day. You're supposed to be resting for 8 of those, and then it would take you 2 hours to complete the task. So the moon plays such a huge and beautiful role in us as the divine feminine. And like I said earlier, and I'll say it over and over again, it was stripped away from us. And we were told it was some spy planet, and that it doesn't control the ocean's tides. But yes, it does. Look, even she gets angry. Even she gets mad. Even she has calm and peace. She has her cycles too. So yes, it is controlled by the moon. Thank you for allowing me to share that.
Thank you so much. And that's one of the things to be able to remember is that whole part of the cycles. And you ladies have talked about having your clients follow their own cycle, like track their cycles, right? So one of the things is that not everyone is going to respond the same way under a full moon, because that's not their moon, that they are going to have that chaotic response. They're going to be nice and calm, everything's good, because in traditional experiences in traditional times is that women would gather, and the ones who were not on their circle on their moon time would be the ones that would actually help to care for the ones who were. And then which is why, so not everybody would follow that same cycle, because those who needed to be cared for are being cared for by the people who are not in their time. And so being able to track when their cycles are and what it is that's going on. And so, yes, we all have the full moon, and yes, there's going to be some energetics that's going to be coming around it, but for some people, they're not going to be affected by it in the exact same way as everyone else. So I know that when we are in any Pisces moon, whether it's like the new moon, the last quarter, whatever, I don't do well. I'm an Aries sun. And so like me and Pisces, I really struggle with that one. And so I've really worked with being able to have that energy, like being able to try and work with that energy. And then I was blessed with a grandson, the one who kept trying to come over, that he's my Pisces. And my daughter-in-law said, "Oh my God, he's a Pisces. How are you going to manage?" And I said, "I'm going to love him, but I don't know how I'm going to manage." But he is my calm. He is that balance for me. And then we had my granddaughter was just born in May of this year. And so she is a Taurus. So I've got my Pisces, I'm an Aries, and she's a Taurus. And so like I've got this blended three parts of energy that allows me to be able to really tap into that energy. And then I'm an Aquarius moon. So then I've got that energy as well. So that it's like all this balance and trying to figure out. But when we're talking about like the client and witnessing that breakthrough, is that I had a client who she's been working with me for a really long time. And I always work with the moon cycle. I always introduce it, but you take it or leave it. Like it's always take what you need, leave the rest. And so she's worked with everything else that I've done, but the moon's just not been one of them. And so then this year, she's decided to step into the moon energy. She's decided to step into the moon cycle because it was just too confusing for her. It was like, okay, you're saying that we're Aries and now we're in Taurus and now we're in, like, I don't know where we're supposed to be. And it's like, hey, but just follow one thing at a time. So either follow your follow your phases or your energies, whatever it is that you like, start with one piece. And so then when she started tracking, so we did some pretty intense work around different cycles and so different moon phases. And it was like, okay, so now she knows that when we are in the first quarter, that is her energy. That is where she's pumped up. That's her full moon energy for her. Right. So and she's, I don't get it. Everybody else is like all pumped up and excited at full moon. And I just want to sleep. And that's like, then sleep. That's your energy. So she was able to track that. But being able to have that, being able to pick up, and she's also bipolar. She's been diagnosed with bipolar and medicated for bipolar. And so being able to recognize that has allowed her to be able to see where she's been able to track things differently that allows her not to have to do most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time she doesn't have to do her PRNs, like her add-on medications, because she knows that this is my time that I'm supposed to be more active, or this is my time when I'm supposed to be more quiet. And so it's really amazing to be able to see when we have these patterns and we can actually figure out what our patterns are. And because there's no right way and there's no wrong way, it just is. And so just being able to recognize and honor ourselves in our own space, in our own time, where it works for us, and makes a huge difference. So thank you for that, ladies. The next question is, as we transition from Leo to Virgo, how can understanding these seasonal shifts help people navigate their anxiety that emerges during life transitions?
Me.
You. Yes, you.
I know how it works now. Yes. Oh, as we are shifting into this time of rest and relaxation, or shifting towards it, where we're starting to wind things up. And if you look at the, excuse me, the energies of Leo is more expressive and expansive, and Virgo is more grounded, it makes perfect sense that seasonally in the Northern Hemisphere, apologies, it makes more sense as this is as working through that we're starting to bring things back. Now, the problem is, again, our society doesn't follow that same rules, right? Because we're starting to ramp up. We're starting to ramp up in our society for the holidays that are coming. We've got back to school. We've got Thanksgiving in the States. We've got Black Friday. We've got Christmas. All of those things that start to ramp everything up. And so taking the time, especially when we have anxiety, to really settle into the energy of the time, of what's happening with the seasons, what's happening with the energy of the cycles, and with the zodiac and the astrology and where the planets are, is about that settling time And so when we can really sit in it, and again, it's coming back to the breath, but often we need practices that will help us with that. And so creative practices are one that we use a lot, but really starting to look at why we're moving with the energy of society because we've been taught to. But maybe we need to step out of that, right? Maybe we need to step out of what's been indoctrinated into us and really tap into what is the energy of our own self, the energy of being feminine, the energy of nature and what's happening, and really starting to allow ourselves to be one with nature. Get outside, put your feet in the water, walk in the grass with bare feet. And if you can't do that, just breathing, just maybe take your shoes off at your desk, but breathe and just allow yourself to step away from what we have been indoctrinated into that is not working for anyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Allie?
Just touching on that about the grounding, sometimes you can't go outside. Anna reminded me of something that I taught one of my students with her, the magnesium bath. During the winter, she actually got some dirt and eventually got some turf to put on top. And she had that as her grounding platform. So she could actually stand on that without turning to ice in the winter. But yeah, I think coming back to nature, obviously here coming into spring, it's a perfect time for that. But again, balancing, coming back to the breath. I think Leo, we can look at what did Leo help me to express and be fully. Then what parts of me is Virgo asking me to tend to care for? When Leo helps us to express and be more outwardly expressive, we can look at that, read between the lines. Okay, so if I've expressed that, what is that telling me? Where can I go deeper? And that can be actually quite destabilizing for people who are struggling with anxiety. So if we look at it as more of a sacred rebalancing, I think that can remind us that being bold doesn't necessarily mean being reckless, going crazy. We can still be introverted, but express and be more bold, take action. We don't have to play small, but we can do it our way. But yeah, I think Virgo makes us want to look more at the structure of things, the security of things. If we did step out of our comfort zone a little bit more in Leo, we can take the time to look at that without over analyzing. Leo might have been the why and the what. Virgo is the how. Hopefully that makes sense outside of my chaotic head.
That makes perfect sense. Actually, I love
Awesome.
that. So I just want to say welcome to Zoe. And at the end, Zoe, we'll have a chance to chat with you, but we'll just move in with Tywanah. So Tywanah, what's your response? Or your thoughts?
It's funny because my mother is a Leo, my grandmother is a Leo, my grandfather is a Leo, and my stepfather is a Leo. And I'm an Aquarius. Complete antithesis of each other. And this month, first of all, she channeled more than she ever has. She has spoken through me, and she's gotten to the point now where I used to be like, Mom, I can feel you coming in. I can feel you coming in. Where now she's just, everybody knows when she has this movement she does, where she does it so pretty. It's insane. But I not only channeled her, but I channeled that Leo bold energy, like someone swatted her like a fly in a webinar, literally. She goes, my mother says, I'm here, darling. And she goes, yes, and my father is here. And I'm sitting there looking at the replay like, oh no. But as an Aquarius, I don't like confrontation. So it was funny because after I announced I am Thunderbird Rising, when she came on the webinar last Sunday, I was like, let me tell you something. If you or any of your descendants ever disrespect my ancestors again, there will be hell to pay. And I don't care about our relationship moving forward, but it just is. Okay. Do we understand each other? All right, moving on. And that was it. And I had never in my life approached anything like that. I would skirt around it, I would dance around it. But I have a Virgo child. So I also understand moving from that big, bold chaos into now I'm restructuring my routine, even down to my morning routine. I am restructuring it to go with my cycles of when I should be active and when I should not. And I am prioritizing that morning routine over a phone call or someone else's needs. It's not, no, until I have walked the dog, even if it's just 5 minutes around the building, meditated for at least a half hour, read 10 pages in my book, and drank my coffee, don't call me. And that's that Virgo energy, right? That's that Virgo energy. Because until my daughter has gotten up out of her bed, if she gets up out of her bed, and gotten herself together and said hello first, she doesn't want to be bothered. And so it's about honoring all of those cycles, all of those parts of you. And it's funny because Virgo's the only one of the only signs not in my chart. Virgo and Taurus are the two signs not in my chart. Everything else is Aquarius, Sirius, Aries, Moon, Libra rising, but it's just important. And I'm really starting to lean into this with my clients, and they are finding it fascinating. Between the guidance of the planetary movements, the phases of the moon, and then what we can do metaphysically with all of that. They're literally finding it fascinating. So that's how I'm starting to navigate, by allowing myself to be expressive when I need to be, but also allowing myself that space, that balance, that flow, that time, so that I can recharge my battery and in turn return that to anyone who needs it. And Priestess Alissandra, I will be going to look for a piece of turf if I can still find it in the Lowe's and Home Depots here, because that is brilliant, pure brilliance.
It really is. And one of the things that I would do with my clients, because we have a lot of seasonal affective disorder responses up here. And so especially our winters are very long. Sometimes it's still middle of April, early May, and we still have snow. So it's just that, but being able to just being able to have a potted plant, like a pot that, not a potted plant, but like no plants in it, where they can actually literally just stick their hands in the soil as well. Right. So it's that ability of being able to do that. So going back to that Leo to Virgo is being able to have that connection of that transition. So you guys have touched on this already about Leo is that bold, but it's also that courage, right? So when we're in that Leo phase, this is actually this is a good time for us to be able to step into that next, what are we going to do? And one of the things that we haven't talked about today, but I think is really important for anybody who may be listening that this is new to, is that we've got the moon phases, we've got the planetary shifts and things that are actually going on with the planets. But every month we go through all 12 zodiac signs. So within the month, so we are in a sign every roughly about 2.5 days, right? So 2.5 days, it all depends on what's going on. But like on average, it's usually about 2.5 days that you're in one particular sign, but you go through all 12 signs in 1 month. So there are times when you're supposed to be so that you're in that Aries energy. And even though you're not in an Aries month, you're in an Aries energy at least once for a couple of days. And so that's your getting things done phase, and then going into that Virgo is being able to plan, and what do we need to do, and how do we need to do that? And that's where you take those first steps, right? So one of the things that Tywanah had said is about being able to, I've established my routines, right? So you don't just jump up one morning on a Virgo moon and say, okay, I'm going to have this entire new system that I'm going to be doing. But you take one thing, right? So one thing is, if I'm going to go and stand outside and put my feet on the ground, that's your first, and then just do that for the month. So then you add something new. And then being able to having those connections. And so really important for us to be able to have that. So thank you so much. So we're not going to be able to get into the last question just because we're already at 8:57. And so I want to be able to have enough time to be able to go around and have everybody share, what do you have to offer somebody? So if they have been listening to this, Larissa, and they want to connect with you, you don't have to give your contact information because it'll be in the description of wherever it is that they're listening to this from. But what do you have to offer that somebody would be able to work with you?
Oh, so many things. And of course, I've offered the intention setting workbook that everybody can get at no cost. So that gets you on my list at least, and you can find out. But I typically work with business women who are either have an idea and they want to grow it, or are building and growing an online business and they want to do it differently. But we also have programs for all women. So we have some morning programs specifically that we do our journaling, we do our meditation, set our intentions for the day, all of those types of things. We work with the energy of the moon and the seasons in most everything we do. Healing and using feminine energy is the most important part. So we're in intuition, we're in creativity, collaboration, all of those things, self-care, those things that are really important to bring women back to their own power. Because the masculine power that we live in, not a healthy masculine power, but the power that we live in is about power over, and the divine feminine is about power within. And so that's really what we focus on, is that power within. And so we have, like I said, morning programs, we have business programs, we have book clubs, we have all sorts of things going on over there. It's an academy full of wellness and feminine energy.
Well,
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. And Zoe does it all.
So at the moment, I am offering the first round of a statement of attainment, fully accredited in energy clearing and protection. And then from there, we actually have a professional certificate too. And so for the first round of that, it's only $17, which is insane. So that's my biggest offering at the moment. It's a bit of a love offering because I think it's something that we all need, especially with the chaos at the moment out in the world. But yeah, if you do want to learn a little bit more, check out my book, Shadow Alchemy. It's available on Amazon. And yeah, they'll have my details with all of our other offerings and freebies and all the good stuff. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And Tywanah?
As I'm transitioning from one space to another, right now I have my offering. It's a journal, 7 days to self-aware, and the links will be below that. But what I do offer are mediumship and non-mediumship reads. I offer one-to-one coaching. I have just created or just birthed 3 different programs. One is a summit series based on the chakras. It's called the 7 Gates to Goddesshood, and it's 7 chakras, 8 summits, 1 powerful mission. And then we are starting VIP days. So with that, you get a health clearing, a shamanic energy clearing, You have your intuitive readings and things of that nature. And I also just finally finished it, the website for Sacred Rise, The Silent Season, a healing circle for mothers in no contact with their children. I myself have experienced that unfortunate event. We have since reconciled and are growing our relationships. But unfortunately, I am finding that there are so many mothers out there who are not in contact with their children. And I have a very different perspective on it. And so I do coach it and teach it, as well as some other little tricks up my sleeves, 2 communities, 1 private, 1 Facebook. So there's a lot going on with Thunderbird Rising. But again, Sophia will have the links below. And I thank you all for the opportunity to tell you.
Beautiful. So I do want to actually ask you to share a little bit about your tribe, just in case somebody's interested in your tribe through Sacred You.
I am the tribe leader for the Psychic Essence Collective, and I teach all things woo. So whether it's the clairs, whether it's energy clearing, whether it's protection, candle magic, manifestation, deities, whether it's all of that, it falls under the umbrella of the Psychic Essence Collective. We have fun together. We're a really tight-knit group, and I welcome you to come and join us. And we are live. We're back to Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern. My apologies.
Thanks, Tywanah. And so I work with moon medicine, and moon medicine for me is not just working with the cycles of the moon. It's not just grandmother moon. It is working with all the things, working with healing energy and crystals and essential oils and herbs and whatever it is that allows us to be able to provide that support in as to what it is that we need. And so I work with that. And so I have a program called Wisdom Cycles. And so we work within the cycles of the moon, bringing in all the things. So as I said, I've worked in mental health for a number of years. So I have lots of those tools in my toolbox, as well as the holistic practices. So it allows me to be able to bring in all the different things that bring things moving forward and help people get from where they were to where they would like to be. And I have my own lived experience with anxiety. And I embrace it. And so if I'm in an anxious moment, then I'm in an anxious moment and I deal with that. But I was diagnosed with anxiety at the age of 6, and I've just learned how to be able to navigate around it. And so I work with women to be able to help them figure out how to work within their own anxiety and accept it as a gift, as opposed to something to be feared and something to make them feel that they're less than. And I also am a tribe leader through Sacred You, and I host moon medicine circles that I host on Friday evenings here, Saturday mornings in Australia. And so I do that at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And so we come together and we talk all things moon and actually all things energy. It's not even just necessarily the moon specifically. Tywanah joined us today and had shared about her experience of being able to bring in the energy of Thunderbird rising today. And so that is how the conversation got started. And then we bring in the rest of the things around the moon. And like I said, it's moon medicine. So it's not just the moon, it's crystals and essential oils and all the things that bring that healing into our lives and bring us the wellness. And as I am being eaten alive out here, I have the pleasure of being outside. And so I'm like, I don't think you guys can see my flower bed, but I've got some beautiful flowers that are right beside my hammock, and I enjoy that, being able to be in that energy of grounding. And like I said, it doesn't last very long. Our summers are generally very short, so just being able to enjoy this warmer weather, like nighttime, the temperature is dropping and we need to turn on the heat at nighttime, but during the day it's still pretty warm right now. Just being able to enjoy the plants and being able to teach that with my grandson and being part of that. And so I often, in the summertime, I'm often outside doing my calls because I take the advantage of being able to be in this space and in this energy. So Sophia, are you there? There she is.
Absolutely, Rollie or Gigato Migwan Quay. Absolutely. I have been sitting here enjoying this incredible conversation, all about harvesting the inner strength, tuning into the moon, which I don't know much about, but I'm learning so much through these panel discussions. And I thoroughly agree with the grounding. Love the idea of getting turf to bring it inside. I use water and a grounding mat. Love the magnesium baths. Thoroughly. Now I'm going to start putting my feet in magnesium whilst I'm sitting at the desk. Didn't think of that one, so thank you. So I would just like to honour you, Rollie, truly, for a wonderful panel discussion, and also honour Larissa, Priestess Alissandra, and our beautiful Tywanah for coming along and sharing their wisdom. And a big hello and thank you for joining us, Zoe, for our panel discussion. If you have anything that you would like to share, Zoe, please let us know. And for everyone who is watching, do click on the links below. Reach out to these amazing women who have just shared their wisdom on moon wisdom, basically, and how we can use it to help us overcome anxiety, how we can use it to ground ourselves. Click on the links below, reach out to them, and while you're there, do check out Sacred You at sacredyou.love, and even put /join free. Join us in our village where we have so much more on offer. We have our panel discussions, we've mentioned wisdom circles, all sorts of things, our tribe meetings. Beautiful Rollie has her moon medicine circle, and of course Tywanah has the Psychic Essence Collective, plus we have lots of other tribes that are available, and very soon we will be releasing our archetype circles, our sacred archetype circles, so do look out for them. And again, thank you, Zoe, because you've joined us. Is there anything that you would like to share on the topic of moon wisdom? Do you have anything or any quick questions that you would like to ask before we leave?
Oh, that's sweet.
Okay, Zoe doesn't have really good connection.
My internet is really unstable, so I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yeah.
We can now.
Is it lagging quite a bit?
It's okay. It's okay. If you
Yeah.
have okay. It's okay, maybe next time, but if you have anything else that you'd like to share, do pop that in the chat, because we do have to run a thing. We are over time. Rollie is being eaten alive by mosquitoes, and I want to honour everyone for their time. So thank you, and thank you everyone who is watching. Come and join us again for our next one. And in about a month, our beautiful Gigato Migwan Quay will be back for her next panel discussion. Thank
And
you.
it may not be on the right moon date there.
It may not be on the right moon date, but that's okay too. No problems at all. So thank you ever so much.
Thank you. Thank you.